Hi everyone, my name is Juan Pablo. Welcome again to my YouTube channel. In this time we will look into a specific term or mix of a specific term in the world of service provider, which is basically how to combine communities, which is very well known for many of us into the BGP world because it works for tagging the routes that we have in BGP. And those routes tagged with community allows to do some type of traffic engineering and to decide which, for example, which attributes of BGP we will give to some prefixes, or to decide what we will allow and what we will not allow into the provider network. And we will also use route target under the VRF, which has a route policy, okay? Because, you know, the VRF is where normally we hold the customers, and usually, obviously, we import routes under the VRF, right? For that, we have route targets export and import. And with the route target import, we basically import routes into the VRF, right? Now, apart that we are importing the route target from other customers, we probably would like to select what we import under the VRF. So for example, if a router in internet is sending us the wall routing table, we probably will not like to import the wall routing table under a VRF. We would like probably to import just the default, because anyways, the PE just need, or the customer that is under the VRF just need a default route for reaching our internet. So we don't need to import the wall internet routing table. For giving you a bit of explanation how we can combine the community with the route target import policy, let's go to the diagram. So here, let's imagine, for example, that again, this is a mock lab 1, and I am repeating this in every video, but this is what I'm using for my bootcamps in CCIE service provider and for different other technologies. So we have the internet in our mock lab 1, we have the internet ISBR, right? This guy is sending a default route plus some prefixes in our lab towards the ASBR2. So the internet ASBR is connected to ASBR2, and they have an eBGP session, okay? The ENET is under BGP 800, and the ISP James, which is composed by P1, P2, ASBR1, and ASBR2, is under BGP AS 100. So what happened is here, the ENET ASBR is forwarding the default route plus some BGP prefixes. In my case, I have around 5. But in providers' networks, it can be million, right? 1 million, 100,000, many prefixes, right? So the ASBR2 receive those prefixes and propagate, obviously, to the session of the route reflector. So ESP James, again, is composed by PEs, ASBR, and the route reflector. The route reflector is responsible for forward the routes under BGP and to all the devices that are involved in that. Before going further, I forgot to mention that the ASBR2 under this interface with the INET ASBR has a VRF that is called INET, okay? So we receive the default route plus BGP prefixes under that VRF. So the ASBR2 basically forward the routes to the route reflector as a VPN prefix, right? So over that VPN prefix, the ASBR2 forward the routes, which is a default route plus the 5 prefixes, to the route reflector 1, okay? So then the route reflector 1 obviously distribute the routes towards P1 and P2. In our case, we will just use P1. So P1 received the default route plus prefixes over VPN before, right? Because P1 is also peering VPN before with the route reflector, as the route reflector is peering VPN before with the ASBR2. So P1 received the default route plus the prefixes, which are 5 prefixes in my case. In the real world, it can be millions or 100,000s, right? So then P1 needs to provide internet reachability for the CE1 in the left side. So it needs to send the default route under that VRF. It can send only the default route, it can send some prefixes as well. We can do some traffic engineering into that, right? So in my case, P1 might select those prefixes manually as well, right? But then it needs to create a route policy with matching the prefixes, and then it can become a bit hard to create many prefix sets in the XR to import different type of prefixes, or just maybe just Google prefixes or just Facebook prefixes or just mix of them, or different others, probably for the CE to have a better, precision in the routing to those providers. So P1 might need to import more than the default route only. It might need to import Google prefixes, Facebook, and other providers, a specific route, whatever, okay? So the fact is that the P1 received the default route plus the prefixes, and it wants to import some prefixes under that VRF, which in my case, I have the VRF green here, right? So P1 needs to import some prefixes under that VRF and then send it out to the CE1. Now, the thing is that obviously I can do that, right? ASBR2 receive the default route plus the prefixes, forward to the route reflector forward the default route plus the prefixes to the P1, and obviously I can import the default route manually, right? I can just put a route policy and I can match a default route and import only the default route into that VRF, excluding the 5 prefixes. That's possible, but again, in real life scenario, maybe we just don't want to forward the default route, as I said. We just probably want to forward also Google prefixes or other providers prefixes or other content prefixes, right? So in order to do that, the best way for BGP for doing the traffic engineering is maybe not by prefixes, right? Matching the prefixes, because prefixes needs to have different ranges, are different depending of the service that we want to import. We will need to create a prefix set. We'll need to put all the prefixes, update the table as well, because what happens if that user, we are importing many services in there. So let's say that P1, for example, is a box that has a connection to the C1. And P1 is importing manually by prefix, let's say, I don't know, content providers and private as well, private providers, prefixes, and others, right? Let's say 3 of them, and maybe, I don't know, some Google providers, sorry, just for say something, right? What happens if after 1 year we need to import also another type of prefix, another type of service? Then we will need to go to the prefix set, rebuild the prefix set, add the routes, and do it manually. And maybe if this is not the only device, we need to go to every PE and do the same. So instead of doing by matching on prefixes, we can match this by community, right? And here is the beauty of BGP, because we can create the exact route policy on P1 for importing under the VRF green, in our case under this VRF green, importing the prefixes, but not matching based on prefix, match based on community. And in our case, in our lab, what we will do is ASBR is receiving again the default route plus prefixes from the init router. So ASBR2, what we will do is that we will tag. So if we receive the default route, we will insert a community of 100, 100. The other prefixes, we will basically don't put any community. Then ASBR2 will propagate to a route reflector. Remember that when we have internal IBGP session, then the communities carry out in XR. So basically ASBR2 will pass the prefix to route reflector 1. Route reflector 1 will receive the default route with the community and the other prefix with empty community. And this will happen by default. Remember that in XR, if we have eVGP sessions, we need to enable the keyword send community eVGP. Because for eVGP in XR, by default, communities are not being sent. Communities and extended communities. So then, in our case, route reflector received the community of the default route plus the other prefix, passed to P1, P1 received that, and in the route policy that we will create in P1, we will match the default route, but based on community. We will match the community 100, 100 in the P1 that we received from the route reflector, and we will import under the VRF. Okay, we'll create a route policy and we will match. If community match any, then pass, and else drop. We will create that route policy and you will see how it looks like. At the end, the P1 will import under the VRF green. The VRF green will have only the default route that was received in the ASBR2 and that was marked with 100, 100, because again, we are importing only the prefix under the VRF green that has the community 100, 100. So let's do that. Let's do it quickly. let's bring the lab here. And then the first thing is I must create the, I must mark the default route received from the init ASBR with a community of 100-100. So what I should do is route policy, we'll put mark community default route, right? Then here set community 100-100. And that's set. Maybe I need to create here a condition, right? Maybe if destination in 0000/0, then set community 100-100, else pass and if. Perfect. So I have my community created, and then I should join under the VRF inet, sorry. I'm sorry, I sometimes confuse with my Spanish language, and I pronounce English words in different way or in a Spanish way. So then we go under the VRF inet, and then here I put route policy and the default, the route policy that I create, which is mark community default route. Okay, this got matched. Oh, but I just applied everything without the in, so I need to reply again. Route policy mark community in. Perfect. So what I did, I create basically the community, which is probably is not showing here. Okay, yeah, it didn't create the route policy, so I must create again by some reason. Okay, so let me do that again. So here, if destination in the default route again 0, then set community 100-100, else pass and if. Perfect. So what I did in ASBR2, basically I create a route policy that says that if a default route is being received by the inet ASBR, I will put a community of 100-100. All the other thing I will pass, but for the default route I will mark with community 100-100. And then under the VRF inet that I have the peer to the inet ASBR, I will apply that community in the ingress direction. So basically the default route will be marked with community 100-100. So I will apply this. Let me just apply that. Let's just clear the VPN route, and let's see that I receive the default route first. I received the default route. Okay, let's see if I receive with a community 0000. Yeah, I receive with a community, and everything is perfect. Now, as you can see, this router is exporting with a route target of 800-800, which PE1 indeed is importing under the VRF green. So it's the same thing that we were talking at the beginning of the video, right? So we have here the VRF green, and I'm importing the 800-800. So PE1 is importing the routes under the VRF green. As you can see, we have for all the next hop 22, 22, 22, we have all the 5 prefixes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus the default route. So we have in total 6 prefixes that we are importing under that VRF. But I don't want to import all of them. I just want to import the default route. So what I do, how I can match based on community and not based on the prefix? Well, I need to create a route policy, of course, right? Import community. Let's put if, now I need to create a condition. If the route target, extended community route target, match any 800-800 and match and community match any 100-100, then pass, else drop and if. I know it might sound confusing, but let me go through it again. So here I am just creating a condition that for the route target 800-800 that I am importing under the VRF green for that route target, if we have a prefix that match the route target and that match the community 100-100, which is the case of the default route, then I will import under the BGP, or sorry, the VRF green. If not, then I will drop everything. So basically this will import only the default route under the VRF green, and then it will drop everything. So for that, I just need to commit. Oh, I create a policy, I need to apply under the VRF green. So then I go to the VRF green, and then here I put import route policy. This we have a very, very impressive and magic command in XR as well that we can create a policy and we can import what we want. So then here I put default, no, not default route. I'm so sorry, I just confused. Import community, and there we go. Import community route policy. And then we commit. And if we check again the VRF green, then voila, we should have only the default route imported into the VRF green. And as you can see, this was delaying a bit more, so that's why it took some time, but now we are just importing the default route, and there we go. That's the way that we can create our specific import policy and decide what we want to import based on community, based on prefixes, based on whatever we want. Obviously, the best thing to do is based on community because it's easier, we don't need to update. Prefixes are coming with already a community market. Normally, the prefix are being marked in the border. So in the P side, we are just waiting for a marking, and then we decide what marking we want to import into the VRF, and based on that we create our community. So here we have the lab for the day today, and I hope that this has been informative for you. And yeah, I will watch you for the next video, and I hope that you have learned something today. Have a nice day, and thank you for watching. Ciao.